Hello, you're watching DD India Live. I'm Preeti. Up next, we take a look at the top stories we're tracking this hour. President Droupadi Murmu to hold talks with President of Botswana, Duma Gideon Poco. Cheetah diplomacy, bilateral ties on the agenda. India's National Investigation Agency takes over Delhi car blast case. Case registered under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act and Explosives Act. Delhi-NCR on high alert. India reaffirms commitment to equity, climate justice and multilateralism at COP30. Underlines that climate finance continues to be the key barrier to raised ambition. Calls for equitable access to climate technologies. All right, those are the top stories we're tracking in this edition of DD India Newshour. First, let's get you the top story. President Droupadi Murmu is on a 3-day visit to Botswana, where she will hold delegation-level talks with her counterpart, Duma Poco. The talks will be followed by signing or exchange of MOUs and press statements. The president will then visit the Diamond Trading Company for a briefing on the diamond sector. Traditionally, the trade between the two countries has been dominated by diamonds and gems. She will then deliver the address to the National Assembly of Botswana, followed by a visit to 3 Digosi Monument. This is a bronze sculpture in the capital city of Gaborone. The statues depict 3 Digosi or tribal chiefs who played important roles in Botswana's independence. The visit will be followed by a banquet. The President's visit to the African country aims to further deepen the bilateral ties, focusing on cooperation in key areas such as health, education, agriculture, mining, trade and investment. DD India's correspondent Shabir Dar tells us more from Gaborone.
India and Botswana are set to take their mutual friendship and bilateral ties to new high as the Indian President begins her 3-day state visit to this Southern African country. During her visit, the President Murmu will hold the delegation-level talks via several memoranda of understanding are being signed. Besides that, the President will address a special session of Botswana's General Assembly. After that, the President is going to be part of a significant event where the Botswana government will donate some 8 cheetahs to India, which reflects the shared vision of the both countries in the wildlife conservation. Besides that, the President will hold the bilateral talks with her counterpart, the President of Botswana and the Vice President. A special meeting with the Indian diaspora is also being organized. So in overall, the visit is very significant, given the fact that India is expanding its reach in Africa and strengthening its ties with the African nations. With camera person Ramakant Sharma, Shabir Dar for DD India in Botswana.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi received an audience on Wednesday with Bhutan King Jigme Singye Wangchuk in Thimphu. Prime Minister conveyed felicitations on the occasion of the 70th birth anniversary of the 4th King and the best wishes and prayers for the government and people of India for Bhutan King's continued good health and well-being. Prime Minister Modi thanked the Bhutanese King for his leadership, counsel and guidance in further strengthening India-Bhutan friendship. Both the leaders held discussions on bilateral ties and issues of mutual interest. In this context, they underlined the shared spiritual and cultural bonds that bring the people of the two countries closer. All right, our correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh is joining us from Thimphu. Shubhendu, talking of the engagements today, we've told our viewers about Prime Minister Narendra Modi receiving an audience with the Bhutanese king. At the same time, we've also told our viewers about Prime Minister's participation at the Kalachakra ceremony. You get us more as to, while covering the event, what did you gauge? To what extent did this visit, two-day visit of the Prime Minister, help in further strengthening the relationship between the two nations?
Hello, Preeti from Thimphu. And if you can take me in full frame, you'll be able to see the sea of humanity who had gathered for this Kalachakra program where Prime Minister Narendra Modi a short while ago participated. We'll be getting you those visuals in just a bit. This was a very, very important spiritual program taking forward the shared heritage of India and Buddhism. The program was an initiation of a Kalachakra stream, which basically is talking about coming together of the human, the cosmos, and time in itself. So in that sense, the spiritual traditions of India and Bhutan were marked and celebrated just a short while ago. Earlier today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had an audience with the...
Shubhendu, I'll interrupt you here. At present, we're showing the visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi participating in this Kalachakra ceremony along with the Bhutanese king. Here are the visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Bhutan king participating in the Kalachakra empowerment ceremony. Now, this is part of the 16-day World Peace Prayer Festival. The festival began on 4th of November, and Kalachakra empowerment symbolizes peace and spiritual paradise of Shambhala. This is a mythical kingdom, and here on our screens we see the astounding crowd of people that has gathered there as Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Bhutanese king participate in the ceremony. Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeting the people who have gathered at the ceremony. The Bhutanese government is organizing this festival, the 16-day World Peace Prayer Festival. This festival began on 4th of November, and the Bhutanese government is organizing this festival as part of a broader effort to promote global peace, compassion and spiritual harmony. Here we also see Bhutanese king along with Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the ceremony. This is the second day of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Bhutan. And here we see Prime Minister participating in the ceremony. Now this Kalachakra, or the Wheel of Time empowerment, Prime Minister Narendra Modi participating in the Kalachakra Wheel of Time empowerment. This is a high-level Buddhist ritual that initiates practitioners into the Kalachakra Tantra. Now, this is a system of advanced meditation and practice. This important ritual is notable for being open to public, and it is often given by spiritual leaders to promote world peace. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Bhutanese king at the Kalachakra empowerment ceremony. As we told you, this is a very important ceremony held in Bhutan, and this is part of the 16-day World Peace Prayer Festival. Our correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh is there with us. Shubhendu, we were talking of how this visit by the Prime Minister will give a fillip to the relations, but then at present we are showing the visuals of Prime Minister and Bhutanese king participating in the Kalachakra empowerment ceremony. I would want you to spell out more for our viewers, for them to understand what this ceremony is about.
Right, Preeti, what we're looking at on our screens at the moment, the event that happened just a short while ago, Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to the Changlamthan Stadium. This is where the Global Peace Prayer Festival has been underway. It is going on from November 4th to November 19th. Now, Prime Minister's presence at this venue was a very special moment for the two nations, India and Bhutan, who share a rich civilizational connect and shared Buddhist heritage. In that sense, this particular program today, the Kalachakra initiation, marked an important coming together of Indian and Buddhist traditions. What it does symbolize is, as you mentioned, the name Shambhala. In Buddhist belief, there is an ideal land of Shambhala where there is harmony between beings of all kinds. There are no conflicts. It's an ideal world. And through this program, the idea is to be able to create such an ideal world on Earth, to create harmony and peace among beings, from individual to the world to time itself. Let harmony touch the lives of every individual and every being. That is the central prayer of this Kalachakra program that Prime Minister participated in a short while ago. This also connects very importantly with the message of peace and solidarity that the two leaders, the King of Bhutan and Prime Minister, gave, especially in the aftermath of the terrible blast that happened in Delhi. People of Bhutan also prayed together for the victims in Delhi, India. So in that sense, the moment today was high on the spiritual question, the Buddhist tradition, which is central to India and Bhutan friendship. Hundreds and thousands of Buddhist lamas, not just from Bhutan, but from all over the world, peace advocates, even people who don't follow Buddhism, but who are interested in the idea of promoting peace and harmony in the world outside, have all come together. Thousands of them have gathered for as many days to be able to take forward that message. And today's program, this initiation of the Kalachakra, is a very powerful prayer and meditation being sent out from this beautiful land and kingdom to spread the word of peace and harmony, which is central message of Buddhism in many ways. And the idea of Shambhala, the ideal land, can it be created here on earth? For that to happen, peace and harmony must prevail among all beings. In the time of crisis and conflicts that we are going through, this program, this message becomes very significant. Their Prime Minister, when he arrived at the venue, he was received by the royalty of Bhutan, by the present king, by his father, the fourth king, the former king, whose birth anniversary was observed yesterday. Prime Minister of Bhutan was also there to receive Prime Minister Modi. And Prime Minister then lit some ghee lamps, which is traditional in Buddhism. He also took rounds of that very important spiritual chamber where the Buddhist priest had been praying together, sending out messages of peace and harmony. Towards the conclusion of the program, when Prime Minister was leaving from the venue, it was a short program of about 30 minutes that Prime Minister spent here. He then reached out to hundreds and thousands of Buddhist followers, monks and lamas who had all gathered here to witness Prime Minister's presence and participation in this program. And when he was leaving, then he actually turned around and he went among the lamas and the Buddhist priest, waved at all of them, greeted them, shared in many ways greetings from all of India to the people in Bhutan on this very special occasion. India is partnering with Bhutan in furthering the message of peace
and harmony.
Yes.
All right, Shubhendu. So that was about Kalachakra ceremony where Prime Minister participated today. Earlier today, we saw him also have an audience with the King of Bhutan. Help us understand, during this two-day visit, you've covered it extensively. To what extent has the relationship between the two countries further strengthened? What are the areas on which the leaders focused?
Preeti, one can say that the close ties between India and Bhutan have become even more closer. We see milestones achieved in various domains of development partnership, from spiritual and civilizational ties to development partnership. We saw this mega P2 hydropower project that was inaugurated by the King of Bhutan and Prime Minister Modi jointly. India and Bhutan resources and talent have come together to make this mega hydropower project possible. In fact, it has been activated, and the power that is generated, electricity supply from this power plant to India, has started. Just to give a background of this this sort of arrangement that is there between India and Bhutan. India helps make these mega hydropower projects, clean energy projects in Bhutan. And Bhutan, given the small population and the landscape, exports most of the electricity and power produced back to India. Now, with this hydropower project, Bhutan's capacity to produce clean electricity would be increased by about 40%. It also, when it exports and sells the electricity to India, it is also one of the key sources of revenue for this Himalayan kingdom. So in that sense, it's a win-win partnership for both India and Bhutan. Cooperation is also being taken forward in diverse areas of health, mental health in particular, and also sustainable development. At a time when we are going through a climate crisis, voices of India and Bhutan play a very important role in showing what kind of model partnership can exist between nations, while aiming for economic prosperity, also spare a thought for the planet, and also take joint steps forward towards sustainable development. So in those ways, it's a very important visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is strengthening the already close ties between India and Bhutan.
All right. So that was about, strengthening the ties between India and Bhutan. Shubhendu, people-to-people ties and civilizational ties play a very important role, which was highlighted by Prime Minister as well. Now, talking of Prime Minister's engagements during these 2 days, help us understand how has this particular factor helped in bringing the two nations together? What role do the people-to-people ties play, for both the countries, one? And secondly, over the years, help us understand how has the relationship between India and Bhutan evolved? Now, Prime Minister has always laid importance on the neighbors and his, Act East policy. Help us understand how much is Bhutan important to India and vice versa?
That's right. And I'll also request our producer if we can show the visuals of Prime Minister's engagement here in Bhutan while I talk about the manner in which relations were taken forward. Right now, I'm at Chamlingtan Stadium, where a short while ago, Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated in this very special Kalachakra initiation program, which takes forward the global peace prayer festival that is taking place in Bhutan. And talking about people-to-people ties, Preeti, that really forms the bedrock for hundreds and thousands of years. Two oldest civilizations in the world, India and Bhutan, the people-to-people ties is where it all begins. There's always been exchanges since the civilizations began. Then Buddhism becomes a very, very important connect between the peoples of the two countries. And today we see this partnership is now maturing, has been maturing for a long time, in fact. It is in fact gaining momentum in the manner in which the two countries also look at each other as very energized economy who can partner with each other, who can build upon each other's strength, who can together create projects which sort of represent a model of sustainable development for the world. People-to-people ties are also taken forward in the manner in which India is working towards a capacity build-up, capacity development for Bhutan. From the policy perspective of neighborhood first, Bhutan is a pillar of that philosophy and policy. There's a Gyaltsang program taking place here in Bhutan. Bhutan recognizes that preparing a brighter future for the youth of the kingdom, it requires them to ponder over all economic opportunities that can be created. There has to be state-of-the-art skill development programs that must take place here. And this is where India is playing a very important role in this Gyaltsang program in creating both the hard infrastructure as well as soft skilling programs. In all of these domains, India happens to be a key partner. So in that sense, that development partnership that we were talking about is now being also taken forward through the people-to-people connect and the youth empowerment, youth education, and the skilling of the Bhutanese youth. And that in many ways not just strengthens the relationship, but also gives it confidence to tackle the challenges of the future more confidently as friends together.
All right, Shubhendu, we leave it here. Very aptly and in detail, you've explained to us how the relationship has evolved. Thank you so much for joining in with those inputs from Bhutan. That was our correspondent, Shubhendu Ghosh, joining us from Thimphu and getting us constant developments from Thimphu when we talk of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's two-day visit to Bhutan. Today, the Prime Minister had an audience with the Bhutanese king, and he also participated in the Kalachakra empowerment ceremony, which is indeed a very important part of the 16-day World Peace Prayer Festival, which the Prime Minister also attended yesterday. And this is part of the 16-day festival which began on 4th of November. So in a nutshell, our correspondent also explained to us the different areas and of cooperation which will in fact help in strengthening the relationship between India and Bhutan. And he also explained to us how over the years the relationship between India and Bhutan has evolved. So that was about Prime Minister's visit to Bhutan so far. We'll keep you updated. Up next, we're heading for a short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. After the break, foreseeing a potential end in the shutdown, US Supreme Court extends the freeze on the SNAP food program in November. Iraqis voted in parliamentary elections on Tuesday in which Prime Minister Mohammad Shia al-Sudani was seeking a second term. And we get you glimpses of France's oldest house, which dates back to 1091.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is visiting Canada today to participate in the G7 Foreign Ministers meet, on the sidelines of which he held bilateral meetings with his counterparts, including UK Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper. The leaders affirmed the India-UK Vision 2035 for further strengthening cooperation between New Delhi and London across the key sectors. Dr. S. Jaishankar also met his German counterpart, Johann Wadephul. The leaders discussed advancing strategic partnership and the India-EU ties. They also exchanged views on West Asia, Indo-Pacific and Afghanistan. He then met Foreign Minister of Brazil, Mauro Vieira. The leaders recognized the recent progress in bilateral cooperation and also asserted that the two sides are actively exploring opportunities for greater trade, investment, health and technology cooperation. Dr. S. Jaishankar also met French counterpart Jean-Noël Barrot. Leaders took stock of the strategic partnership and discussed deepening cooperation in multilateral and plurilateral formats. Dr. S. Jaishankar also caught up with South African Foreign Minister Ronald Lamola. Besides, Dr. S. Jaishankar also met his Mexican counterpart, Dr. Juan Ramon de la Fuente. The two leaders discussed further advancing our cooperation across business, trade, health and pharmaceuticals and science and technology. The ministry added that the participation of the External Affairs Minister reflects India's continued commitment to working with international partners in addressing global challenges and also bolstering the voice of the Global South in international fora. India has slammed Pakistan for claiming that New Delhi had something to do with the Tuesday's blast outside a court in Islamabad. The Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal in a statement said, and I quote him, India unequivocally rejects the baseless and unfounded allegations being made by an obviously delirious Pakistani leadership. It is a predictable tactic by Pakistan to concoct false narratives against India in order to deflect the attention of its own public from the ongoing military-inspired constitutional subversion and power grab unfolding within the country. The international community is well aware of the reality and will not be misled by Pakistan's desperate diversionary ploys. India and Cuba signed an MOU in Havana comprising of a treaty on mutual legal assistance in criminal matters and a protocol on cultural exchange and cooperation. The signing took place during a meeting between India's Minister of State for External Affairs and Textiles, Pabitra Margarita, and Gerardo Penalvera Portal. Now, he is Cuba's acting Minister for Foreign Affairs. Pabitra Margarita is on an official visit to Cuba. Penalvera Portal emphasized on the priority of continuing to develop ongoing political dialogue and also economic and trade cooperation with India. He also emphasized on the value of his cooperation and expressed gratitude for the solidarity offered by India during the hurricanes that struck the Cuban archipelago in recent years. India on Tuesday reaffirmed its firm commitment to multilateralism and equity in global climate action at the opening plenary of the UNFCCC COP30 in Belém, Brazil. Delivering statements on behalf of the basic group, including Brazil, South Africa, India and China, and the like-minded developing countries group, India emphasized that Article 9.1 of the Paris Agreement places a binding responsibility on the developed countries to provide financial resources to the developing nations. It said that adaptation finance must increase 15-fold to meet the needs of billions of vulnerable people who have contributed the least to global warming. India reminded the developed countries of their historical and ongoing responsibilities, urging them to reach net zero earlier, invest in negative emissions technologies, and meet their long-standing finance and technology commitments. Up on your screens, we have the gist of participation of India at the COP30 in Belém, Brazil. Meanwhile, tensions flared at the COP30 summit in Belém as dozens of indigenous protesters forced their way into the venue. The group demanded stronger recognition of indigenous rights in forest management. Chaos erupted outside the COP30 climate summit in Belém, Brazil, as indigenous protesters clashed with security personnel while attempting to enter the UN compound. The demonstrators, waving flags and carrying signs reading "Our land is not for sale," demanded access to the talks attended by global delegates. The protest was part of a larger march of hundreds rallying for land rights and environmental protection. Earlier this week, dozens of indigenous leaders arrived to join the summit, pressing for greater involvement in decisions on forest management. A prominent leader said frustration is mounting over ongoing industrial and development projects threatening the Amazon's ecology. U.S. House of Representatives is expected to vote on Wednesday on a Senate-passed funding bill to reopen the government. The final legislation extends funding for most agencies until January 30th, while including 3 full-year funding bills for some parts of the government. House Republicans are confident that the package will clear the lower chamber. President Donald Trump is expected to sign it into law. The Senate approved the deal on Monday night, and House Speaker Mike Johnson has said that he expects it to pass his chamber as well. Meanwhile, members of the House of Representatives headed back to Washington on Tuesday after a 53-day break, braving the congestion at the nation's tangled airports for a vote that could bring the longest U.S. government shutdown in history to a close. With nearly 1,200 flights cancelled on Tuesday due to the shutdown, lawmakers, including Republican Representatives Rick Crawford of Arkansas and Trent Kelly of Mississippi, said they were carpooling to the Capitol, while Representative Derek Van Orden said that he was making the 16-hour drive from Wisconsin on his motorcycle. With a potential end to the government shutdown in sight, the U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday extended a freeze on a federal judge's ruling that would require the Trump administration to fully fund the SNAP food program in November. Now, the decision means the government for now does not have to distribute about $4 billion in additional SNAP funding as required by Rhode Island-based U.S. District Judge John McConnell. The Supreme Court block remains in place until midnight on Thursday. The case would likely become moot if the shutdown ends, as the bipartisan bill to reopen the government would fully fund the SNAP program through September of next year. The House is expected to vote tomorrow on the Senate-passed measure to end the record-long shutdown. Nearly 42 million people rely on the federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as food stamps. Iraqis voted in parliamentary elections on Tuesday, in which Prime Minister Mohammad Shia al-Sudani was seeking a second term. Polling closed with low turnout, marked by tight security and a boycott by a major political bloc. Turnout in Iraq's sixth parliamentary election reached just over 23% as of midday. Preliminary results were due to be announced during the next 48 hours, with the final outcome expected next week. Sudani's bloc was forecast to win the most seats but fell short of a majority, potentially meaning months of post-election talks among the Shiite and Sunni Muslim and the Kurdish parties. In the historic village of Cluny in southeastern France, researchers have identified the Demours de la Portelière as the oldest dated house in the country. Using tree-ring analysis, the Swiss scientists determined that its wooden beams were cut in 1091. The medieval home has sheltered around 50 generations, according to its current owner, a retired architect devoted to preserving its rich history. You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, stay with us for all the latest on the political developments in Bihar ahead of the counting on 14th of November. We also get you glimpses from the first ever Mahanadi Boita Pratiyogita 2025 held in Odisha, celebrating the state's rich maritime heritage. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Newshour. The second and last phase of Bihar elections concluded on Tuesday, recording a voter turnout of 66.91%, which is the highest since first Bihar elections in 1951. Notably, the turnout in the first phase of elections was 60.18%. On Tuesday, polling was held on 122 constituencies in 20 districts. 1,302 candidates were in the fray. Counting of votes will take place on 14th of November. India's Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar termed the Bihar Assembly polls as historic. He thanked the voters for the record turnout in the elections.
बिहार की विधानसभा के 2025 के चुनाव ऐतिहासिक रहे हैं। बिहार के मतदाताओं ने भी आज आजाद भारत में इतिहास रच दिया है। सर्वाधिक प्रतिशत वोटिंग की, जो कि लगभग 66.9% है। हमारी माताओं, बहुओं और बेटियों ने अभी तक का सबसे अधिक मतदान किया है 71%। बिहार के इन पारदर्शी और शांतिपूर्ण चुनावों ने पूरे भारत को राह दिखाई है।
Our correspondent Deepika Mathur joins us from Bihar's Patna. Deepika, good morning. Now, with both phases of polling successfully concluded in Bihar, all eyes are now on the big day, 14th of November, for counting. It is a little too early to contemplate about the result of the elections, but then I would want you to help us understand, how do you gauge the political pulse of the state?
Good morning, Preeti. You saw a very successful voter turnout in both the phases after the first ever Bihar elections were ever held in the 50s. And now coming forward to the fast forwarding to the year 2025, this is the year when women are witnessing a revolution, when the youth are witnessing a revolution, because the kind of voting percentage turnout we saw really somewhere is an example of how well all the parties really rallied and went door to door in order to maintain an aggressive campaign pattern. And now it all depends on the counting day, which is scheduled for the 14th of November, the Friday. However, exit polls have started coming out, and if we believe the exit polls, the wind blows in the favor of NDA, because out of from 9 out of 10 exit poll agencies, most of them are saying that the wind blows in the favor of NDA, and Mahagathbandhan comes at the second position, with the other parties really having no chance anywhere. And even this also includes about the Jan Suraj party, the newly emerged party of Prashant Kishore. However, we were expecting that Jan Suraj party would be somewhere able to cut the votes of people here, but seems like, as per the exit polls so far, seems like that they are not being able to gain the confidence of the people here, because Bihar, the people have come here in large numbers to vote, and they have a lot many issues, and all those issues were taken care by the oldest parties here. Now all the parties who've come, there are around 5 parties with the NDA, there are 7 parties including the regional parties with the Mahagathbandhan or the Grand Alliance. So all the parties, they really understand the pulse of Bihar, and we witnessed the result of it in their manifestos, the promises that they brought up with their respective manifestos, which means that they understood the real pulse of Bihar. So people came out in large number to vote for these people. We also know the fact that around 45,000 polling booths were set up in the second phase, and there was a massive exercise in the first phase as well. So all of them witnessed a successful voter turnout. Now successful voter turnout means that voters are now aware of their rights. They really now can voice their opinion for which their demands are. So now it all depends on the counting day, but as per the exit polls, however, the opposition party, the Grand Alliance, is currently saying that these exit polls are always wrong, because it is going in the favor of NDA. Now it remains to be seen what the real voting count says on the 14th of November, Preeti.
All right, that was about the exit polls, but Deepika, having covered the elections in both the phases, I would want you to, help us understand now elections at the center and elections for a state are different, because for a state, basic amenities, infrastructure, that is more important for the people living there. Help us understand, how could the polls this time could be a game changer for the state of Bihar? How is this polling process this time around different from the ones we have seen in the past?
When we talk about the issues, because you said that infrastructure has always been a main cause, a main requirement for all the voters in the center, but somewhere in Bihar also, because Bihar is such a vast state, somewhere in Bihar also infrastructure remains the key need for all the voters here. Because when we went to the backward areas, backward seats like Arwal, Jahanabad, Ghosi, all of them are very least developed. We also know the fact that a few of the areas of Bihar, including Jahanabad, were hit by Naxals till the year 2005, and they got free after that only, which means that they are still very much least developed areas. So they remain, the voters there, they demand development for the people here, and we don't have proper schools, we don't have proper sanitary, sanitary amenities for all the people here. So their women, their youth, they demand infrastructural development. That is the key demand. The second demand is is to create more job opportunities. Why? Because people here are migrating, which is also the third issue of Bihar. They really don't want people here to migrate. We had a word with so many people across so many areas, from Gayaji to other areas to Jahanabad, Araval, and covering, talking to all the people here in Patna as well in the first phase of elections. All of them said that they are really fed up with the rate of migration that they are having right now. So they want to avoid this particular situation, and henceforth they need a situation here where job opportunities can be created in Bihar itself, not only in Patna, because Bihar is such a vast state, and it has got its own heritage, it has got its own cultural value. So they want that to be prominently noticed by the globe as well, because there is a very small example of it, that how Gayaji manufactures Tilkut, and it is also requesting for GI tagging. So once this happens, there will be a huge pool of opportunity that will be open for the people of Bihar itself. So these have been the key issues here. This can in turn affect the voting turnout percentage, the counting turnout percentage as well, because all the parties, they've been playing on that ground itself. When we talk about the caste factor as well, caste factor is still there in some of the backward areas, but not across the entire Bihar. Because when we had a word with the contestants as well, who are coming out from different parties, be it the NDA or the other parties, they say that although they are having their Bhumihar identity, which hold 2.9% in the entire Bihar contestants from the entire contestants of Bihar assembly, but then caste is something which is taking a backseat this time. So this time people have voted for development, people have voted for more job opportunities to be created. So the party who has promised for the same will be able to witness the wind blowing in their favor on the 14th of November, which is the counting day, Preeti.
All right, Deepika, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. And let's turn focus to updates on the Delhi car blasts now. New Delhi is on high alert after a car exploded near the Red Fort on Monday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has vowed to bring those responsible to justice. The National Investigation Agency has taken over the probe. The decision came after Home Minister Amit Shah reviewed the security situation in the national capital and other parts of the country. As per the sources, investigations into Monday's suspected suicide bombing have revealed that the attacker acted in panic and desperation following a sweeping multi-state crackdown on the white-collar terror module. The suspected bomber, Dr. Umar Nabi, a Pulwama-based doctor who worked at Al Falah Hospital in Faridabad, is believed to have driven the white Hyundai i20 that exploded near the Red Fort. Sources said that Nabi acted hastily after several of his associates were arrested in recent raids across Faridabad, Jammu and Kashmir and Delhi-NCR. The Delhi government has announced compensation to the families of those killed and injured during the Delhi blast incident. Delhi's Chief Minister Rekha Gupta, in a social media post, informed that the families of those who lost their lives in this incident will be given an ex gratia of 1 million rupees. The Chief Minister also added that the permanently disabled individuals will receive 500,000 rupees and seriously injured people will be provided 200,000 rupees. The minister also said that the state government will take responsibility for proper and quality treatment to the injured. Meanwhile, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation has informed that in view of the security concerns, the entry and exit of Red Fort Metro Station will be closed till further order. The Red Fort in Delhi will also remain closed to visitors till Thursday, following the blast, to facilitate an ongoing investigation at the scene. Kulgam police score success in crackdown on banned Jamaat-e-Islami organization in connection with the Delhi bomb blasts. In a cordon and search operation at multiple residences, over 200 raids were conducted across Kulgam by Kulgam police. In a related development, another doctor, Tajamul Malik from DH Pora, Kulgam, was detained in Srinagar in connection with the Delhi bomb blast. In a world of global ride-hailing giants, India is charting its own course, one rooted in trust, inclusion and technology. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has joined hands with Bharat Taxi, a first-of-its-kind cooperative-driven, citizen-first national ride-hailing initiative to be launched in December 2025. For now, Bharat Taxi has begun its soft launch from Delhi, with operations commencing from airport via a user-friendly digital dashboard. Integration of the Bharat Taxi platform with national digital platforms such as DigiLocker, Umang and API Setu will enable seamless identity verification and service delivery. The aim is to test services and gather feedback to optimize operations for best ride experience. Up next, a quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. In Sivakasi, the Satyapuram railway overbridge has been inaugurated, bringing major relief to road users facing long traffic jams. The 850-meter bridge completed 3 months ahead of schedule. The inauguration concluded with spectacular fireworks display lighting up the night sky. And Udaipur will host the National Workshop on Agriculture and Livestock Entrepreneurship from November 11th to 13th. The event, organized by State Rajivika and Rural Development Ministry, aims to boost sustainable rural livelihoods and promote women-led agribusiness models in the state. Odisha hosted the first ever Mahanadi Boita Pratiyogita 2025 in Cuttack. The event celebrated the state's rich maritime heritage, with the fly boat race emerging as the main highlight and drawing huge public attention. In Jaisalmer, the Indian Army's Southern Command conducted exercise Marujwala under the ongoing Tri-Services Drill Trishul. The exercise showcased joint coordination and operational readiness. Lieutenant General Dheeraj Seth led the operation. You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break. Stay with us.
This week on Defence Dynamic, we decode why for India a unified rocket force is no longer an option but a strategic necessity, which Asian navies are redefining the undersea power balance in the Indian Ocean, and why Pakistan's Hangoor-class submarine may not be the game changer it's claimed to be. We break down India's engine dream as Defence Minister calls to build jet engines in India by Indians and on Indian soil. And in my take, how the Russia-Iran railway corridor is redrawing the map of Eurasian geopolitics. Catch the sharpest insights on power, posture and strategy this Wednesday at 8 PM IST only on DD India.
DD India News Hour. Let's turn focus to updates from the world of business now. Alphabet's Google will invest $6.41 billion in Germany in the coming years in a push to expand its infrastructure and data center capacity in Europe's largest economy. The plan includes a new data center in Dietz-Bach. This is close to Frankfurt, as well as expansion of the US company's site in the city of Hanau, also in the central German state of Hesse. Google's head in Germany said the plan was likely to secure a total of 9,000 indirect jobs in the region. Finance Minister Lars Klingbeil said Google's investment plan was a truly important signal for Germany as a business location, which follows a $1.2 billion AI partnership between Deutsche Telekom and Nvidia announced last week. Germany has been trying to lure in investors and help boost its struggling economy, which has been subject to high costs and red tape. Let's get you updates on stock markets now. Most of the Asian markets were trading higher on Wednesday, with Japan's Nikkei rising to 0.34%, Hong Kong's Hang Seng advancing 1.07%, South Korea's Kospi up by 1%, and China's Shanghai Composite gaining 0.4% as US Congress looked set to end the federal shutdown. Meanwhile, market participants are increasing bets on further easing from the Federal Reserve. Experts say the probability of a 25 basis point cut is high as at the US Central Bank's next meeting on December 10th. Fed, as expected, cut interest rates by 25 basis points on October 29th. While most of the US stocks ended higher on Tuesday, the Dow Jones Industrial Average surged 1.2% to a new record high, eclipsing its previous peak set 2 weeks ago. In contrast, the Nasdaq Composite slipped 0.3% as Nvidia extended its decline, with investors growing cautious that AI-driven stocks may be overvalued, and S&P 500 advanced 0.18%. Indian equity benchmark indices Sensex and Nifty opened in green on Wednesday, while Nifty 50 went above 25,800. BSE Sensex was up over 400 points. The mastermind of a vast Ponzi scheme in China, which conned nearly 130,000 investors, was jailed in Britain on Tuesday in connection with one of the largest cryptocurrency seizures ever. Qian Jimin was jailed for over 11 years for laundering the proceeds of the fraud into cryptocurrency, now worth billions of dollars. Qian pleaded guilty to 2 money laundering charges in September, following a probe in which British police confiscated over 61,000 bitcoins, now valued at nearly £5 billion. Qian ran an investment fraud through her Lanshan Gerui company from 2014 to 2017, into which around 128,000 people invested roughly $5.62 billion, which is about $6 billion of which was siphoned off. And now we turn focus to sports. India clinched 2 more silver medals at the Shooting World Championship in Egypt. Pair of Samrat Rana and Isha Singh won silver medal in the 10 meters air pistol mixed team event in Cairo. The Indian duo topped the qualification round and set up a gold medal match against China. However, they had to settle for second best in the medal match as they lost 16 points to 10. Meanwhile, Aishwarya Pratap Singh Tomar also claimed silver medal in the men's 50 meters rifle 3 positions event. Earlier in the day, he equaled the qualification world record. The 2 medals took India's overall tally to 11, including 3 golds, 5 silvers and 3 bronze medals. Only China, with 14 medals, is ahead in the standings. All 5 Indian chess players, including Grandmasters Arjun Erigaisi and Ramesh Babu Pragananda, drew their opening games in the 4th round of the FIDE World Cup in Goa. Erigaisi faced little difficulty against Peter Leko, who seemed content with a draw while playing with the white pieces. The Indian Grandmaster could play aggressively in the return game. Pragananda was in a worse position when Daniel Dubov decided to split points. It was apparent that Dubov was hoping to take his chances in the subsequent match. Grandmaster Pentala Harikrishna, Pranav Venkatesh and Karthik Venkatraman also settled for draws against their opponents. Carlos Alcaraz battled to victory over Taylor Fritz at the ATP Finals as he moved 1 win away from securing the #1 ranking for the 2nd time this year. The 5-time Grand Slam champion clinched a 6-7, 7-5, 6-3 victory over last year's runner-up Fritz in Turin. Alcaraz, who was replaced by rival Jannik Sinner as world #1 following the Paris Masters earlier this month, will finish 2025 at the top of the rankings if he beats home hope Lorenzo Musetti on Thursday. Sinner has to successfully defend his finals title to have any chance of ending the season as #1 for a 2nd straight year. Meanwhile, Italy's Lorenzo Musetti beat Alex de Minaur 7-5, 3-6, 7-5 in a dramatic group stage encounter. 9th seed Musetti looked down and out with de Minaur serving for the match, but Musetti made a stunning comeback to seal the match. With Christmas more than a month away, malls in Hong Kong light up for Christmas with elaborate decorations, festive events and special lights displayed to attract shoppers during the holiday season. Take a look. right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. Now, this app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.